Hello and welcome to the Miraculous Being series. I'm your host and self awareness coach, Veda Shivraman, and this is a show where we discover, learn, and implement lessons from others' life journeys. Others who I believe epitomize miraculous in its truest spirit. Individuals who live life to the fullest, who worked hard on themselves to reach where they are, and are passionate in what they do. Today's speaker is Coach Sahar. Sahar is an author and an internationally certified life coach with expertise in transformational coaching and metaphysical therapies. She's the author of two best-selling books, Twice Born and Because Time Does Not Heal, a master teacher trainer of Law of Attraction, Silver Ultramind ESP, as well as the teacher trainer for metaphysical therapies. Her dedication to the field of mind, body, and spirit over the past 16 years has made her one of Asia's most sought after coaches. Let's jump in. Hi, Sahar. Thank you so much for joining us in. Despite all our glitches, here we are finally talking.
Hi, Shweta, and thank you for having me. It's totally my pleasure.
Lovely. Yes. So I think before we get started, maybe it'll be great if you could share your journey and maybe a couple of pivotal moments of transformation so that our listeners can catch up and then we can delve deeper.
Yeah, so Shweta, as you know, I'm from Iran. Originally, I'm born and brought up in Iran, and then due to certain challenges back home, in terms of my brother's medical issues, we had traveled a lot of countries, and then eventually, when nothing worked, they said India has, all these alternative medicine like homeopath, Ayurveda, and all that. So we have been frequenting India a lot. But then in 1996, I think was the last time they decided, okay, we'll give it the last shot. And if it doesn't happen, so it doesn't happen. So basically, my journey started when I was 14 into what I'm doing today as a metaphysical therapist, and why I've written my books and all that. The journey goes back when I was 14. But now when I'm realizing that even at age 3, I would watch anything related to metaphysical therapies and also clinical medicine, basically. Even till 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and my parents would say, "Okay, whenever you finish, you switch off the TV." But those were the programs I would watch, and those were the books I would read. So if I look back, my journey was already planned. Like what I call the soul plan. But then actively I started seeking answers because I went in 2006. I was married, and it was a very, very devastating relationship in every possible way. So I wanted to know, what did I do so wrong to deserve this? And that's where the journey started. Before that, as you know, I was in corporate. So I worked for 12 years. My last assignment was VP operations, and I was heading an organization with about 53 branches across globe, doing the operations part. So yeah, that's how it is. And then suddenly one fine day, I decided, okay, you know what? I am not happy in the corporate, and I don't know what I want to do, but I don't want to be here. So I resigned. And then after that, there was no looking back.
Lovely, lovely. And I like how you said that, the plan was already in action for much longer and much before
Yeah.
we could recognize. It's only in retrospective that we were able to connect the
Yes.
dots. So I'm curious, after, VP operations in the corporate world to metaphysical therapies, I mean, that must have been quite a leap, right? How did that happen?
Yeah, so in 2006, so I resigned in 2010 November, and then by the time they eventually realized that no, because I was with that organization for almost anything between 5 to 7 years, but in different locations, different countries. So when they realized, no, she really is serious, it took them 2 months. So Jan of 2011 probably was when I was relieved. But my journey as in seeking and then trying to find who I am, why this happened, that has started in 2006. I started with a Reiki. I started learning Reiki and then tried to calm myself down, meditation, cleansing, whatever, you name it, and I have done it. And it's Shweta, it's very interesting. And this is what I always tell to people who say, what is my life purpose? I say, when you're ready, the life purpose will appear. You don't have to keep looking for it. You just prepare yourself for it, you know. So probably I was so ready, but unfortunately out of despair, that when in 2006 for the first time I attended a Reiki class. By the end of 2006, I was a Reiki grandmaster, a pranic healing arhat yogi, theta healer. I don't know what all I had done. And I saw about 59 past lives in that year. You know, so because I was so ready, I would get all these opportunities just to keep doing everything. However, my job was such that there were times that I would not have a day off for eight months. And it was you reach office at 8:30 and you never know when you're going to come out. And even if you come out at 3 in the morning also, I was emailing and my mom was like, is it 24/7? Like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
So this is, so basically that has started then, but of course you're in corporate and people see you in a different light. You don't want anyone to know. It's just that after some time people started noticing something has changed. My homeopath doctor especially said, something is different about you. I know. So he knew me since 1996.
Mhm.
And we were talking 2006. And then, of course, the 3 years which I was hiding and 4 years which I was hiding, not letting. So in 2009, he said, Sai, there is a difference in you. You're doing something. I said, like, what is the difference? He said, yeah, first time you walked into my office, it was a man dressed up like a woman. You were so masculine and you were so direct and so up to the point, and there was no softness to you. You just look soft, but the moment you would open your mouth, it was like I'm talking to the man. You know, I was so harsh and hard. And today you're talking to me like a lady, you know, like something has shifted. This your aura is softer and all that. He's also into spiritual work. Then I said, actually, this is what I'm doing. And the change was so visible. My friends started asking me, well, what's up? They thought, you know, maybe I've fallen in love because I was always so joyful, happy. Everything they would say, I say, haan, ho jayega, you know, very flowy. So they thought that maybe, you know, someone has appeared in her life. Then I told them one or two people, I said, you know, that this is what I'm doing. And then they wanted to experience. So basically, when I talked about past life and my friend went for a past life and she had a bad experience. Somehow she couldn't and she got scared, 2, 3 of them. Then they came back to me. By then I had done my training with Dr. Brian Weiss. And I had actually gone through the entire training to be a hypnotherapist. But because I didn't have a psychology background from US, I'm a master's in psychology, but I hadn't studied in Canada and US. So they couldn't issue me a certificate. It was as per their protocol. But originally I was trained. So and they told me, technically you're a therapist, so take us, you know, on. I said, okay, just for fun. So 1, 2, 3. By the end of 2011, I actually had a client base. And then this is how the transformation happened. I really didn't think I, you know, wanted to be a metaphysical therapist. And in fact, because I wanted to stay in Chandigarh and I had already resigned, when after a year I started looking for jobs, they said, you know what? You're overqualified. You need to shift your city. Chandigarh wasn't as big an industry or IT hub then. They say you need to shift your industry because with this package that you have and the work experience you have, it would be very unjust. We ask you to come down, you know. So then I didn't want to move from Chandigarh. So see how the universe designed it. I was not getting a job. People were getting gravitated to just because I had changed in some way, which I still don't know what, but I'm glad I did. So this is how the universe actually put me in the place I was supposed to be. And it has been a beautiful journey, sometimes very, very difficult. I won't deny it's not all hunky-dory and rosy. The spiritual world is quite, can be quite dark, but it's really worth it, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you said, right? Like the universe ensured that you stuck to the universe's plan and didn't have your own plans. You know,
Yeah.
it's and you know, I can hear you say, because I know that even 4 years ago, even if I was listening to this, I would wonder, you know, like my corporate avatar will also wonder, saying, what logic is there? You know, how is all of this happening? Because our mind cannot comprehend this many variables, right? It's just
Yes.
something that is beyond our comprehension. So I'm sure when you moved when you were transitioning also from that corporate avatar to this, there would have been a lot of doubts, insecurities, questions. How did you embody all of that? And
I think in a very strange way, I have always been very supported. Even if it was just one person at a time who stood by me and who believed in me, that was enough. So there was this friend of mine, I mean, he's a great friend of mine even now. So he said, you know what, Sahar, you've worked too hard. 1 year you do nothing. You just keep enjoying doing these things you want to do. Then I started doing a lot of meditation. So I really did a lot of meditation for myself. And also then people, because they started coming and they would ask me questions and then I would answer those questions. And then they started telling me that the clarity that you have when you explain a concept, why don't you start teaching? So me actually starting to teach also started because people really kept on pestering and asking me questions and they really wanted me to explain things. So when I used to do this meditation, he said, you enjoy this. You have this much money in your account. You are doing some side thing with them. I was investing some money. He said, why do you want to work? Just enjoy it for a year, then we will decide what to do. And don't worry, I'm there. Neither you're going to run away nor I'm going to run away. Just enjoy it. So and somehow I really don't feel at least the financial lack. I may lack in feeling okay, I'm alone, I live alone. Sometimes you feel maybe you want a companion, very rarely though. but
That's true.
finances, which seems to be an issue with a lot of people, has never been an issue. I have been so fulfilled with 1,000 rupees in my bank account or in my pocket, and I have been equally fulfilled, or actually I would say indulgent, even if there has been 1 crore in my bank account, and I have had both.
Yeah.
So I think that part, maybe I have been designed that way because I had to go through this journey. So the universe had already put some default programming in me. But those things were in there. But of course, I'm a person who needs to be busy. I really like to add value. I can't be sitting idle and just watching TV. Probably I have not watched TV for 14 years. And if I have watched, there were those shows which has been very selective. Where, it's about healing, it's about, metaphysical therapies, or it's something to do with universal laws and all. And if someone has recommended, I don't randomly go and surf and find something to watch, right? It's 14 years I haven't watched it. So I need to invest my time in something that will add value to me. And then it should be in a way that I want to share it with someone.
Yeah.
It's very important. So those insecurities, that what if this is really not my line, and what if I am getting out of being corporate is very heavy duty job. Yeah, it's a really hard task. And if you've been at that level and then for 2 years you do nothing, you start doubting yourself, will I be able to handle that pressure again? So that was the only thing. But thankfully I never went back to corporate, so I'm so deeply grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I heard this in one of the interviews that you had done earlier, when you have talked about that every soul has a plan, right?
Yes.
And we come with that plan. And I'm just curious, right? And I think this goes back to that question that you mentioned about people hunting for that purpose, right? So for someone who's probably new to the entire concept of a soul plan, what is it, and where can they probably start discovering that for themselves?
Yeah, so I think soul plan is a lot being I would say interused, or it's a mix of people's understanding is that soul plan is basically your destiny. But actually soul plan, let's say it's a blueprint. Like whatever you want to do in corporate also, you have a plan, right? You have a blueprint, you have a vision. Then you have to see at what what obstacles are there. Then you do your SWOT, to understand who you are, what can you handle, what kind of projects. So it's something very similar, but much more detailed. So basically, there are a few things which are the fixers in the soul plan. So it's your blueprint of this life, and there is a vision for it. And the vision is how much as a soul you want to be evolved, right? How much your consciousness needs to be evolved. And that is very precise, because how much you evolve, that much you're going to add value to the evolution of the entire consciousness. So when people slow down, that's where difficulties happen. And when people go too fast, that's where disease happen.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's that blueprint with a lot of details. There's certain things which can't be changed. Let's say your body type,
Mm.
because your body is not only the temple of your soul, but it is also the messenger of your soul. It is telling you the shape of the body, the color of the skin, the type of the eyes, and all the illnesses that, or also the health that comes with it, is trying to tell you where all you're going wrong or where all you are going right. So what are your strengths? So the body, the gender, and these things can't change. You also choose your family because you have a soul contract with them. So basically your closed ones in that blueprint are your support system. But how we understand support, the universe doesn't understand support in that way, because there is no concept of negative and positive, good and bad for the universe. So the support is anyone in whichever way can come and help you reach that vision. So if someone has to come and hurdle your progress so that you learn that you can be independent and you shouldn't be having unhealthy codependence, so that's also support for the universe, because support is support. There's no positive, negative. We will perceive it as this person is so bad, so mean. If they did this to me and now I'm this.
Yeah.
That's, but for universe, it's not that. So your support system is also chosen. And then there are other things. As long as you are clearing your backlog, you're decluttering your blueprint from the karma, which is no more serving you. And as long as you're aligned in terms of rhythm and pace to reach that level of evolution, which is eventually the vision of your soul, you can keep changing anything in it. You can change color, you can change your soul tribe, you can change your agenda, you can change your way of doing things, you can accelerate, you can slow down. But it shouldn't be too slow or too fast that it actually puts the rhythm for other people in your universe out of place. So that is what we call a soul plan. And you can really change it every 10 seconds. But you need to be aware of few things. One is that you need to be aligned with the vision of the source or universe for you. You can't be thinking in separation, that I need to reach there, to hell with everyone else, me at the cost of others. It can't. You have to be you have to create a conducive growth system for everyone. And the third thing is that when you change, you should be aware of the consequences of the changes you make. Right? So once you are aware and then you make aware decisions, you can actually entirely change your soul plan. So much so, like in my first book, I've written Twice Born. So it's about when the dimension of consciousness changes. So it's like you almost die in the same physical body and you're reborn in the physical body, but a lot of stuff about you changes. So when first time this happened to me, my nationality changed. From an Iranian, I became an Indian.
Yes.
And the second time, which is very recent, it changed. I, as a person, have changed. Like when I look back 3 months or 6 months ago, I can't relate to who I was. And that's quite scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a soul plan. But you can change it to whatever extent, as long as you continue adding value and as long as you are aligned with the universal design.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious to know your answer to this in terms of, how does one know they are aligned to the universe's plan?
Okay, so the best way to know you're not aligned is your state of mind, your health. So when you're not aligned, everything goes wrong. The extreme of disalignment is when you have chronic disease, when your health is bad. Slight disalignments can be in terms of finances, if your finances are not okay, or if your relationships are having a certain difficult pattern. So these are also disalignment. But when the body knocks you, that's where you realize that you're totally off radar. Then you need to correct the course of action and change things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, right, about You're also an author, and we've had discussions in my book writing journey as well. So the definition of your support system you gave, I think you were one of my support systems in making the book happen. So thank you for that.
Most
So
welcome.
I'm just curious, how is the journey of being an author and being an author of two best-selling books now, right? Twice Born and Because
Yeah.
Time Does Not Heal. So would love to hear how was your journey into being an author?
Yeah, so if I, I'm a life coach. So I teach people how to plan, how to envision, then how to, plan backwards, forward, and all that. Now, if I answer this very honestly, I may lose some clients, but it's okay. So there was a time where I learned that, so my plans are also very holistic. I don't have a minute, detailed control plan of everything, unlike what we teach in, let's say, business coaching and business mentoring, right? Because that is who I am. And I can't change who I am. My profession should be a little different from who I am. But when it comes to my books, actually, Shweta, they just happened.
Mhm.
And they happened with a force that I had no choice but to let them happen. For Twice Born, which is actually my debut book, it was in 2014. A client of mine, she's a good friend now, came from Canada for past life regression. And when she finished her session, she kept on giving me messages from her master. So once you're in the life between life, where the soul is trying to figure out how it went wrong, where it went wrong, and know how to correct it in the next life. And sometimes the guides appear if we request them. So this master comes and keeps telling you should write a book. So 17 pages of me writing messages from the master. And I was like, she's not going to write a book. I am 100% sure. And my hand was tired of writing. Then I said, can you ask, like, what is this about? Because you're not going to write a book for sure, unless some miracle happens. So what is it? She said, no, 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 no. These messages are actually for you. You are supposed to write a book. I was like, okay, that was scary because, English is my fourth language.
Mm.
And after 15 years of being in India, I'd forgotten Persian, you know. So in what language will I write? Hindi, I talk, but, I mix all genders. So Hindi is no option. So I was like, but then in 2018 end, the call became so strong that I just simply couldn't do anything. I started, falling a little sick. Things just started getting disaligned. And then when I did a soul macrocosm drama, that's a kind of a workshop I do. So in that workshop, I decided I should see what's wrong. Definitely I'm not aligned with something. And then again, the message was that you need to write the book. So then I stopped everything and I sat to write. And I think it took me about 42 days to put the first draft together. But of course, then editing, re-editing, then it took a few months. And by October, it was out. So this is how it happened. No planning, no nothing. The book found its editor, the second editor. I did a self-publishing because I thought I'm not going to publish it. I'll just do 100, give it to my students, and then this is out of my way. But the book found a publisher who actually has published my second book. I didn't put any effort for it. So this is when we say you're totally aligned with the soul plan. Things just flow and you don't have to worry about anything. And again, the second book also happened in a similar manner. So a lot of my students, because I teach law of attraction and I train trainers for the law of attraction. So a lot of my students and trainers who were trained by me, they said the way you teach it, we have not read in any book. Can you please write something because the information is incomplete and it is actually some of it is not right, to be honest. I said, okay, because the masters had told me her gift is clarity. She can bring clarity to the subject. So I started writing that. I wrote about probably 20,000 words and I couldn't move forward. And I just couldn't sit and write. And then I thought, okay, let me do one more soul macrocosm drama. But anyways, I couldn't do it. I sat in meditation and then I got to know. So when I came out of meditation, I just picked up my journal and I started writing. And when I started writing, I realized actually a book is getting born. This is not journaling. This is something else. And then I kept on writing. And of course, this one took more time because it was case studies. I had to make sure, the oath of privacy is maintained. There's no way anyone can get to know which client is, because a lot of them know each other. I do workshops, so they come. So they know each other. So I had to make sure everything is very, very discreet. So it took me more time. But again, every case was again picked up randomly. Like I was guided, okay, this person. Some of my clients really wanted their names also to be there. They wanted their case studies to be there because for them it was miraculous. But I wasn't guided to put those books. So this is how both the books happened. And now I'm writing my third. So let's see. Hopefully that will happen with that much ease only.
Amazing, amazing. And the second title got me intrigued, right? Because, we always say time heals, and, your title is actually because time does not heal. What is the story behind it, and what is your
So,
perspective?
yeah, so when I went for the first time to a past life regressionist and I saw a past life, I realized we carry the wounds forever and ever and ever. So time really doesn't heal it. It's just we suppress it, we forget about it, whatever. But it's somewhere in our system. And that's why it is governing our decisions. So that stayed with me. Then I went on to really research time and understand what is time, because in the other realm, in the metaphysical, there is no concept of time, and really space also doesn't exist. I mean, space is there, but you can just bypass it because everything is happening at the speed of thought. And the more you have worked on your energy, the faster your thought manifests. So it's so scary because the negative also manifests as fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when I was writing, when I came out of that meditation, in fact, the first line which I wrote, which told me this is a book coming out, said, they say time heals, but that's a lie. And time is an illusion, and an illusion cannot heal another illusion. So this was the two line came, and then the book followed. So and then my research about time, for the sake of the viewers, is basically really time. There's a concept we have created to measure our distance from experiences. So if I've experienced something and I forgot about it, then that becomes my past because there's a sense of familiarity, but I'm distanced from it. If I'm talking to you in the now and I'm really aware of my body, feeling, how I'm feeling, how am I relating to you, how do I look at you, and what am I saying? So this is now because there's no distance. I'm just in the moment. And then if there is something I desire to experience because I heard it, I read somewhere, saw a picture, but I feel a distance. It's not yet happening, but my thought is reaching to that desire. Then that's my future. But when I look at it from the bird's eye view, when we take the soul out of the body at the time of therapy and we tell the soul, now look at your life and see, the way the soul looks at life from there is very different from if the person is in therapy and trying to recall, right? So when you look from up, there's actually no present, past, and future. Everything is happening at the same time.
Yeah.
I had a client who saw 108 lifetimes.
Yeah.
She saw it like this. And all of them were, like small constellation with different stories. And those wheels were actually running simultaneously, all at the same time. So there is no time really. So how will something that does not exist really help you heal something which you have gone through?
Yeah. So then what I'm curious about is what heals then?
I think the first thing that heals is that the recognition that something is not okay. What has happened is that we have been conditioned to believe that we need to remain strong. And if you're vulnerable and if you admit that there is a problem, then you are a weak person. Then you have lost it. But the truth of the matter is, unless you accept and admit that something is not right, nothing can start. No healing, no suppression, nothing can start. So first is acceptance of the situation. Second is to realize that no one, including your family, including the therapist, including whoever, your lover, partner, is responsible for your well-being. You are the only one who can be responsible, and you're the only one who can manage you. No one else can manage you. And if you are refusing to take care of you and you expect others to take care of you, that's very unfair on others and it is very unjust to you. So I think this sense of taking responsibility and this over glorified concept of support and family and all that needs to go away. And we need to raise children who really can take charge of their life. The moment I believe Shweta will save me, I am giving my power of choice, my power of healing, my power of being in charge of my life away, and I'm giving it to you. Now, I want you to handle your life and also my life. How unfair is that? Right? So that's what heals.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm just curious, right? Because I've been, I know myself from 5 years ago, right? The kind of person I used to be, 2 + 2 is equal to 4, logic, straight thinking, all of that, right? So I'm just curious that if there is someone like me in the listeners who are still there in that space, because if someone had talked to me about past life regression, then, it would have been Greek to me, right? Because the comprehension is not even like there. So if someone listening to us is still in that space and is looking to find that alignment, to start walking that path of self transformation, where would you recommend that they start their journey of coming back home to themselves?
So I think I would ask them to start actually educating themselves maybe a little, to realize there is a world beyond logic. And unfortunately, that world is 95% of the universe. Our logic can handle about 2 to 3% of the universe and maximum of 8 to 10% of our life.
Yeah.
Everything else, Shweta, is happening at the subconscious level of the mind.
Yeah.
Research says, and on average, a person processes 50,000 thoughts a day and makes an average of 20,000 decisions a day. How many of them are we aware? So
Not
the
even
decision
1%.
of I'm going to the gym to lose weight, or the decision of I'm going to go for that interview, these are the decisions we usually remember. These are really not what is governing your life.
Yeah.
What is governing your life is that you do your best, you put in 1000% into a relationship and still you get ghosted. And you can't figure out why is this happening. You do your best day after day, you put in effort, but someone else takes their promotion and you stand there and wonder, why is this happening to me again and again? Because the problem is in the subconscious mind, right?
Yeah.
So I think it is very important. See, they say ignorance is a bliss. Ignorance is fatal. It's not a bliss whatsoever. Knowing the truth is difficult, but ignorance definitely is not a bliss. So to educate themselves, maybe they can read realistic books. There are so many now documentaries which talk about the metaphysical and how does the energy work. Like, you can't be bigger than Tesla, at least, or Einstein. At least you don't trust me and Shweta, it's okay. Trust those people. They all talk about energy.
Yeah.
Right? So if someone has done something of great work, make them your role model. We unfortunately have come to a space that everyone thinks they know it all. I went recently to a very big institute for a guest lecture. And see, when I go there, I want to be humble. I may have thousands of achievements, but I want to tell them I also did blunders. But despite that, I'm here and I'm fulfilled, and this is what I've learned, and this is now my qualification. So you don't talk about your achievements all the time because there's no point. If they want to know about it, they can go read on the net available. So I was giving examples of, don't think too much because you will keep changing your streams, you will keep changing jobs, take everything as in your stride and as a stepping stone for success, even if you feel something went wrong. So at the end, but look at what we have created as a society. This guy comes to me. So if you've made so many mistakes, isn't it better that I go and listen to a wise person who has never made a mistake? Look at the delusional world they're living. They think anyone who is wise is someone who has never made a mistake. And I'm looking at this law third year, student, and I'm wondering that, am I really hearing an adult, he's a young adult. Tomorrow he's going to present a case in the court, right?
Yeah.
And if this is the thinking, I cannot trust this guy.
Yeah.
And this is one of our top institutions. So to be, because of course, the social media has added to it. You think everything is supposed to be always hunky-dory. You think someone has reached, let's say, become Tony Robbins. You don't see for 55 years of his journey, and now he's 75-year-old, if he's where he is. You want to be the next Tony Robbins tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not going to work like that. We need to become realistic. So I think educating themselves is important at all levels. And secondly, pick up one or two mentors. None of us know anything at all whatsoever, including me, you, everyone. We just know a little bit related to our life, but this universe is so vast. So pick up one or two people, at least look up to someone and understand how they function, and then educate yourself and become better. And the third thing I feel is that when they stop dropping the need to compete with each other, when they realize that you're so unique and beautiful in your own way, that you don't need to become better than anyone else. You just need to be better than yourself, who you were yesterday or even 1 hour ago.
Yeah.
So if we get these the foundations right, then putting pillars and building palaces is easy. But if the foundation is not correct, if it is all illusions and delusions, then it is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
So I really suggest to stop watching social media, go read real books, find real mentors, and become a student of life forever. Then only you will do something of significant. Otherwise, we all come and go, we exist, we breathe, and then it's over, right? One day it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for that. I think that's so powerful. And that is really the reality of our generation, right? But we want to be a overnight success yesterday, not even today or tomorrow, yesterday, right? And
so we have a copy paste. I mean, not everyone, but Shweta, definitely we have a copy paste generation. Look at social media. No one is writing anything original.
Yeah.
If you're following, let's say, 20 people, within a week you will see the same post, just the color combination has changed on everyone's reels, and you wonder what's happening.
Friends. That's the key word, right?
Right? It's just about numbers, but life is about quality, not quantity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I have one last question before we go into the rapid fire. I'm mindful of the time, but just very curious about this thing because it's something that I struggle with personally as well. And I know a lot of people in my audience also who probably struggle with it, right? I think you mentioned in one of the interviews that one of the biggest lessons you learned writing the second book was, this message of stop thinking. Right.
Yeah.
And I think as a generation, we are overthinkers, right? We're just so compulsive. Thought is something that just happens.
Yeah.
No matter how hard you try to, kind of be conscious about it. So I'm just curious, what kind of practices have helped you keep learning that lesson of stop thinking? And what does it open up for you when you actually manage to stop thinking?
So I think to be able to trust your inner instinct, your gut feeling is one, but before you reach there, because that is kind of difficult, we do have certain courses which we teach you to trust your intuition and learn to work with your intuition. But let's say not everyone does do it. So I think journaling is very important, because what is thinking or what is overthinking? You're recycling the same thought without any resolution, without any solution. And because now the mind is starting to believe that no matter how much I'm thinking, there is no solution, it starts to get into that panic mode, and the worry and anxiety and all that shows up, right?
Yeah.
So if something is getting repeated, please put them on pen and paper. And also keep writing letters to yourself about how you're feeling.
Mhm.
It sounds very cliche, but it works. Fortunately, it works.
Yeah.
It sounds easy, but at some point when you learn how to do it, and with practice it comes, then you realize that through journaling, you're learning a lot about yourself, a lot more about yourself, and so many emotions you can manage it just because you're letting them out of your system and onto the paper. And for recycled thoughts, obviously, you just make a list and take it out of your mind. Once it is on the paper, the mind believes that you're going to take action. So now it doesn't have to keep reminding you of it.
Yeah.
So this is for, any practical overthinking daily issues and challenges. The third thing is because not everyone can meditate, but I definitely suggest going into the nature. Either you walk or even you just go sit by a lake or in a forest or a park or whatever in greens and just sit there, just watch, observe. That calms you down. And the moment you calm down, slowly the distance between thoughts becomes larger. So then you're slowing down the process of thinking. This is somewhere I'm sure everyone else has read it or heard it. It really reduced your inflow of inputs and messages. You have to reduce social media. See, whenever an information is received, the mind has to process it.
Yeah.
It cannot park it. That is the nature of the mind. Whatever comes to it, it has to process, because it has to understand whether it is a threat to the survival or it is good for thriving.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it catches hold of the threats to the survival, because originally, what is your mind's job? To help you survive. Everything else comes next. So it holds into those fearful thoughts, and you don't even realize it. You have watched a scary movie on TV. You do not realize it, how 6 years down the line, the same thing can cause a miscarriage in a woman, because the fear has been seated, So really, you have to be watchful of what kind of information you allow into your system. If the information is making you uncomfortable, you should stop it. It is your energy system. You're not a dustbin that anything should be entering your system. You should really check what is happening with you, right? The same way we check our children that, okay, no, you can't watch this movie, you can't play that game. Same thing is for us, So that is third. Then, of course, meditation helps, but meditation doesn't mean you sit for 1 hour with your eyes closed. You can meditate with your eyes open. The only thing actual meditation, is when you become aware of your breath. You can be driving, you can be talking, you can be eating, you can be dancing. But if you're aware of your breath, you're meditating.
Yeah.
So, so I think these things would really help and stop overthinking. And the other thing, the last thing I want to say, if you're overthinking about something, find a confidant, go and confide in someone who's your well-wisher. Again, you're taking it out of your system. And of course, that person can give you suggestion, or just you need to be heard probably most of the times. And that's it. It's not very difficult.
True. I think we all know that life is much more smoother and much more easier if we can just let go of our thinking, controlling minds. But I think it's years and conditioning that we are so compulsively, we are so attuned to our thought in a lot of ways. And in a way, I think, for us to survive in a world like corporate world and everything, we do need our logic, we do need our thoughts, and it does help function in a certain way, right? But it's just that now we need to learn how to turn it off.
Yeah, see, because if you're really thinking, then you don't need to keep repeating it.
Yeah.
When you're thinking that you're thinking, then you need to repeat it.
Correct.
Right? So 90% of what you're thinking is actually junk.
Garbage.
Someone said something for 3 days, you're thinking about it, and then repeating it to other people. How does it really matter?
Yeah.
Right? So, like, people tell me decision. I said, you know what you're doing is you're not making a decision. You're just making an announcement. Because nothing is following that decision. Decision is a decision when you later go and execute it. Then it is a decision, right? So these are only announcements when you're doing nothing about it. So these thinkings are also just, you're thinking that you're thinking, but you're just wasting your energy. You're not really thinking productively.
Very true. Because we are not really concluding anything from it, learning from it, changing our ways, nothing, right? It's just regurgitating the same thing like a cow, you're chewing the cud again and again and again.
Yeah. The taste is also gone, but we are still chewing the same gum.
Yeah. True, very true. Thank you for that example. I think I'll keep that analogy in mind. The taste is also gone, but you're still chewing the cud.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for the rapid fire?
I hope I am.
All right. let's start with the basics. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm actually both.
Interesting. Okay. Books, movies, podcasts. I think movies is out of the question since there's no TV.
Books.
Books, okay. What are top 3 books that have probably transformed your life?
One is Wishes Fulfilled by Wayne Dyer. The second one you will not believe, but it's a novel, Gone with the Wind. And I think I've read that probably 10 times. And the third book is, how do I say, but it's actually my own second book.
Okay, because time does not heal.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Okay. And my copy is still coming. I want to read it. Let's see. Okay. What about 3 non-negotiables in your daily routine?
My workout routine, my morning tea, because that's the time where I put all my thoughts together. And so, as I said, I just think about something once. I don't need to think 20 times. So that's my tea time. And the third thing is to tidy my home. I need to declutter and tidy at least one corner of my home every single day. And the reason is decluttering, even if you're just decluttering your dining table, decluttering actually declutters your mind. So these are the 3 non-negotiables.
Wow, I like that. Decluttering physical spaces to declutter your mind.
Yes, it really helps.
Lovely. Any role models and what kind of qualities you admired in them?
So I consider Krishnamurti, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and so these 2 as my mentors. Both are not in the body. And what I admire about them is authenticity.
Yeah.
They never recycled someone else's information. What came. Yeah. They didn't care how they're perceived by other people. Yeah. They believed in their message, and they believed and actually worked hard. I won't say hard, but they worked truly, genuinely from their heart. They were very heart people, So to be able to be a clear channel of those messages for people. So I think authenticity and standing firm in your purpose, no matter what, is what I look up to.
Yeah, Jiddu Krishnamurti is a big hero for me also. I think too much respect, I think, for that. Just that clarity of thinking and the ability to stand your ground when people around you.
And not claiming to be your guru.
Yeah, that also. He insisted on that, right? In every way, saying that don't call me a guru, think for yourself.
Absolutely. That's what the real teacher is.
Yeah.
To make you think for yourself.
Absolutely. Gem of a person. Okay. One of the biggest lessons you learned through your transformation journey?
So there are a couple of them perhaps. One is to trust my awareness. When something does not feel right, just don't do it because you have to be the good girl or the good mentor or very compassionate therapist, whatever. So really, really trust your awareness. And the second thing is, whatever is happening is always happening for my highest good. Even if it is painful, even if it is lonely, even if it is difficult, sometimes heart-wrenching. But the guy up there, or what I call the universe, cannot think anything bad for me.
Yeah.
And it is giving it to me because it knows I will come out with flying colors. So trust that. And the third thing is, you need to at all times remain the center of your universe, but yet be very humble. And realize that this universe has so much to offer. Your readiness to receive will determine how your life will shape up. So I think these have been my biggest lessons, and hopefully I've learned them now.
Otherwise the universe will knock them in some way or the other.
Yeah. I went through a bad time just 2 years ago. The knock was way too hard. It was actually kick.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So clearly you've made it through. So over
Yes,
to the next next
yes,
level now. Lovely.
hopefully, yes.
Yeah. One word to describe the pandemic for you.
Oh, pandemic was for me was I think the most intense time of my transformation. It was a very good time, in fact, for me to become more compassionate and then at the same time learn to hold the space and realize that we just go wrong when we operate from fear. The fear destroys your immune system, the fear destroys relationships, fear destroys your abundance consciousness. So, the first and foremost thing to really get out of your system is your fear. And you can do that by practicing faith. So, pandemic was a great growth journey for me in terms of mental, emotional, and also physical. I was the fittest, I would say. I would exercise at home. And also spiritually,
Yeah.
it brought a lot of time. And I'm not saying this because it was easy, it was very hard. Certain incidents happen which are crazy, like really crazy, filmy kind of incidents happened to me, but it gave me an opportunity to grow.
Wow, amazing. Thank you for that. And one thing that you wish the audience takes away from our conversation today.
To know that they are the master of their reality, and to learn that by thinking productively, yet becoming aware of who they are, that is the only formula to a fulfilled life. I will never say successful life because I don't know what success means to anyone. But fulfilled is only one meaning, when you operate from joy and you're at peace. No one can go wrong with that. So, but to create a fulfilled life and feel fulfilled, you need to take charge of your life. No one else can do it for you.
Amazing. Beautiful, Sahar. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a
Thank
part
you.
of this conversation, for fitting this in between your busy schedules. And I really
Thank
wish
you.
you the best of success with the third book. May it also go into very reprints. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation here.
Thank you. And I wish you all the best for your book.
Thank you.
I hope it reaches all those who need it. And thank you so much for having me. Great pleasure.